So this is the dilemma that every content creator deals with before going on a travel. See, I'm gearing up to go to New York City here shortly, and I'm gonna be doing some photo out in New York as well as the US Open. And I'm always having this dilemma when it comes down to packing the gear for a travel. I tend to have the kind of FOMO of what gear to bring when it comes down to traveling, especially more recently now that I've acquired a little bit more gear that I use for certain scenarios. One of the guaranteed gear that I have to bring is that 50-300 by Tamron lens, since I'm gonna be using it for the US Open, thanks to Tamron lending it to me to use it for that purpose. But other than that, I'm not really sure what else I want to bring whenever it comes down to this travel, to not overpack or underpack. And I feel like that's always a dilemma when it comes down to packing for content creation and your travels. So right now I have the dilemma that I have to decide if I want to bring my ZV-E1 or the Sony a7S III, or do I want to bring both because I might be able to do for, different scenarios of what I want to create while I'm out there. And like the same thing with my Sony a7C Mark II and the a7 IV. Which, to be honest, it's not a big deal to bring a little bit extra gear in case you need it, but I also don't want to be lugging around too much in case something gets, stolen, or maybe I don't need it as much to, not have too much in my backpack. And that's understandable, but I feel like this is always a dilemma when it comes down to packing for any travel, because I start thinking of the scenarios of what I could use each thing for, that I want to bring it all. And realistically, I know that I shouldn't, because I know that I don't need to. It's just obviously wanting to put the gear that I have to perfect use how it should be. But I think I have, a little bit of reasoning of what I'm gonna bring, and hopefully it'll be the right, pick. And maybe we'll kind of see what happens when it comes down to while I'm out there creating. But I'm gonna go through the reasoning of what I'm gonna bring and why. Hopefully that in case you're ever needing to know what to bring for a trip, let's say to New York City or something, it'll help you out in this video. Well, first things first is we gotta pick a camera bag to take with us, because I have to make a decision of what camera bags I'm going to bring. I'm deciding to bring a normal backpack and one sling bag so that whenever I want to condense down and walk around, I can do so. My thought process when it comes down to knowing what camera bag I want to bring, I want to consider two main things. How much can it fit comfortably, and how big is it going to be that I'm going to be enjoying to bring out? Now, if I know what I'm going to bring within gear, I know kind of what I want to decide onto the size of the camera bag. For me personally, I've taken this bag with me to New York before, but I've not brought a smaller bag yet, mainly because when I try to go to New York, I try to bring good gear because I know I'm going to be creating quite a bit of content, and I want it to be as best and efficient whenever I'm just creating without having any doubt. But I also think today I want to spice it up a little bit and challenge myself to try to condense down a little bit more than what I would for this kind of trip, especially to see how the outcome will be. So that means that between these two camera bags, I'm leaning more on the pneumatic Luma bag versus the Peter McKinnon, 35 liter bag. It's 18 versus 35, but because my concept of what I'm going to bring makes sense to kind of condense down. I'm planning to bring smaller gear because of what I want to do. So I'm going to challenge myself to try to fit everything in this one first. And if I really notice that it's not really fitting, then I'll have to try to upgrade into this one, but we're gonna try our best to put it into this one first. And now you're probably wondering, why would I bring a sling bag, like whether it's that one or this one over here? Well, the main reason why I need to bring a sling bag is because at the US Open, they don't allow you to bring a bag. So it has to be, I believe, like the shoestring, bags they use in school, so that you're not can bring, bad stuff and everything like that, which makes sense. So for me, it's just easier to bring a sling bag rather than one of those kind of bags because it has more cushion and security. So we can move these comfortably out of the way, because now it's up to these two right here. So one of the reasons of why I'm leaning more into the Wonder bag for this one is because it's a little bit technically smaller in the capacity of the liters that it allows versus this one with the pneumatic Luma one. But also the main reason is because it doesn't look as bulky as a camera bag would. And since at the US Open, they're a little bit very technical with what you can bring and whatnot, I think this one's gonna be sadly the better choice, despite that I could probably fit a little bit more things in this one because it's a 9 liter. So it would just make it easier for me to kind of put it like a kind of fanny pack style. so it doesn't bring as much attention to me while I'm at the US Open, but I'm able to fit my camera in here that I'm going to bring, which I'm gonna go now into going into what gear I want to bring for this purpose so that we can start filling it into the Nomadic Luma 18-liter bag, see how it all fit, and see what's gonna make happen for this trip and the gear that I want to bring. So now this is what I have in mind to bring. Right now I'm filming with my Sony a7 IV, so it's not in consideration just yet, but we have to obviously film ourselves somehow. And I sold my Tamron 20-40 since that's what I'm using for this video setup for today. But what I'm definitely, obviously, like I said, I'm gonna be bringing the 50-300 because they did loan me this one and the 50-400, and the 50-400 is great. It has more range that I could possibly use for getting up closer from a distance. But the problem of why I can't bring it is just it's so big that if I bring that lens with, let's say, my A7C Mark II or A7 IV, it just seems too bulky to be walking around at the US Open. Despite of having the bigger range, I'm okay with giving up 100 millimeters of focal range to get a lighter lens and just crop in if needed, because I'll have 33 megapixels and I'll be okay, I think. So now that we obviously picked the 50-300 because we have to, we're gonna start kind of getting it all situated of what I'm gonna take that way so that I know what to bring with me. Because we have the 50-300 for sure. I am going to be bringing my 35-150 because not always will I need the 300 range, and I prefer having a faster aperture. Despite of kind of, bringing more gear, I think it's always useful to bring this lens. Despite of the heftier size of it, I think it's always great. Love the f2 to 2.8 with the 35-150. I've used this plenty in New York, so as a worst case scenario, I know I can get what I need with this lens and I won't miss out what I want, because I feel like with the 50-300, the 4.5 kind of aperture to 6.3 is great if you're up in the sunny side, which I am going in the daytime to the US Open, so it makes sense. But if I'm going to be doing more like later evenings or anything, I think this would be a solid choice to have as a backup for anything. So now for video and everything, I mean, for the lenses, I've been debating if I want to bring the 20-70 or my 20-40 that I'm filming with. And that's a big, I guess, thought process that I have to decide is, do I want a little bit more range but give up that, f2.8? Or should I go with a 20-40 because it's a little bit smaller? It could probably fit a little bit nicer in here, give up some range, but I have that 2.8, and then I have my 35-150 where I can accommodate accordingly. So for now, this is in the maybe pile because I'll start seeing how everything fits, then go from there. I think for sure I'm gonna have to bring my A7C Mark II over my A7 IV. I know somebody's gonna complain saying like, if you're taking these photos for the US Open and things of that sort, why wouldn't you use the A7 IV with a dual SD card slot? And the main thing is because I'm not gonna be officially shooting for the US Open. As much as I try to do the media pass and everything, you're allowed to bring a camera with you. So I'm going to just simply kind of go with me bringing this camera because it looks more retro. So they'll be more inclined to let me just bring it through. Despite of it having with this lens, it's still a relatively smaller size. So I think for that point, I'm gonna be bringing the A7C Mark II. It has great new autofocus kind of features with the AI and everything. It feels nice in the hand, and I can fit more things into my sling bag for accessories. So it'll be like this lens and maybe like the 20-40 and this camera all in there with some microphones for whenever I want to do some video and stuff too. But that's right now my thought process of that end. Now, when it comes into the ZV-E1 and the A7S III, I have a dilemma, but I have a solution. I wanted to only bring one camera when it comes down to that, and I was gonna condense onto my ZV-E1 only to be able to do kind of the condensed version of travel with the A7C Mark II and ZV-E1. But I do want to play it safer, so I am going to bring my A7S III because I know I plan to do a lot of video when I'm out there, especially around New York City. So I prefer having my A7S III to shoot longer periods without any overheating precautions, because I've never had my ZV-E1 overheat, but you never know. But at least if I'm trying to do more just like out vlogging kind of style, I'll have something small. But if I know I'm going to be going out to shoot a little bit more heftier, I have the A7S III as a backup or main camera to whatever I might need. So I'm planning to bring all three of these for now. Now, of course, you can't go wrong with having a little bit of nice, good old wireless microphones. So I'm going to be bringing some wireless microphones as well as plugged in microphones just in case. This is just my Rode Micro. And then these are the Synco G2 something that they're like the one that has a charging case, or the G2 Mega TX. So Has a charging case in it, so they last basically forever. So I have that. And the last little bit of piece that you never can fail is having my little Go 3 for the POV street photography and a little bit of a film camera if I can fit it all. So we're gonna try to fit it all in here first, and then we're gonna see if we need to make any adjustments. So let's start fitting everything in here to see how it'll play out as well as I hope that it will. Sometimes I like to keep the cameras without any kind of, lens on them already, but I'm gonna try to kind of do it with the lenses already set up so that it just makes it easier. So I'll have the A7S III with the 35 to 150 because I'll put it in the bigger compartment so everything looks good. Boom, we have it right there. I can keep this to the side eventually for now. We'll figure that out later. The ZVE1, I'll depend if I'm gonna be vlogging with this, probably either have that lens that I'm filming with or have the 20 to 70. So for now, I'm gonna do the 20 to 70, see how it looks and how it feels. If I feel like it's too much, then we'll move on. We'll put that in here, bam. Now, the next one will be the A7C Mark II with the 35 to 150 because that's gonna be for the US Open. I feel like it'll fit nicely just right here. And basically that's good so far. Now the next thing will be to put the extra minimal kind of stuff. So obviously microphone, I'm gonna put it over here since it won't scratch the lens. We have this right here. We can just kind of figure out a spot to put my variable ND filter. We have another one so we can fit it gently in there where it doesn't damage anything. Microphone and film camera, can figure out if we need to bring it or not, but it should fit perfectly like that. And that's pretty much it. These, I just kind of put around wherever I can find a spot because in reality, I don't always even need to bring them, but I might just kind of put them in there because we might need them later. Obviously some good old things for now, but I just want to make sure it closes, which it does. Well, it fits everything and I can still fit my laptop comfortably. And the good thing is, since I'm going to be bringing a sling bag, I can fit things in here if I don't want to have it all in this bag when I'm traveling so far. So I think I'll be fine with this setup. But that's a dilemma that I feel like all content creators go through whenever they're wanting to travel and pack up their gear. For me, this is my thought process, how I do it personally. I just start kind of checking off the things that I know I'm gonna for sure need, then go to the maybes and kind of go off of what I'm going to be doing to know what would be best to bring with me. For me personally, it's gonna be great to bring this bag when I go to the US Open because I can fit everything that I need to. The camera will fit nicely as well as another lens, as well as having my batteries and everything because I won't be able to bring this camera. It's very vague how they put up the information. It's like you can't bring a video camera, but you can bring a camera. But even though your phone takes video, so it's kind of hectic. So I just kind of don't want to risk it. And I prefer using my phone if I need to for some video, instead of bringing this really, like the POV style. I'll just use my phone and kind of film things and then piece it all together in post. Now, another thing that I just generally think it'll be perfectly fine is the gear that I'm putting in here. If I needed to only have a backpack, it's fine. If I need to put this on my carry-on, it'll be okay in case the airline says anything. So that's how I start piecing things together. That helps me out. I mean, it's a dilemma always when I have to travel because I want to bring everything just to make it nice as possible and, be prepared for any outcomes that could come out or anything like that. So it's just really just pick and choosing and trying to do your best when it comes down to that. This is personally my method and it tends to work fairly often perfectly. Like even when I went to Europe, I asked you guys if I should bring my ZVE1 or the A7S III. Everybody was telling me the A7S III. Brought my ZVE1, it worked out perfectly. It's really nice. I like the custom LUTs inside of it so I can, know how I'm videoing things a lot faster on the go. If I have more time to wind down, I can use my A7S III so I can pair up with my phone to see the screen on it just to make sure that I'm doing everything as much as I will in camera so I don't have to do it in post or fix it or, have it wrong. So I think this is gonna be the nice setup. I'm still debating if I'm gonna do the 20 to 70 by Sony or the Tamron 20 to 40 because I might wanna do the 2.8 this time and suck up not having that extra range. But I'm just gonna kind of tinker with it before I, for sure I'm like flying out in the next bit because that's how it all goes. But at least for now, this is what's gonna work out for me. And thank you for, being here to make sense of my travel decisions of gear that I'm gonna bring because, like I said, always a dilemma, not fun to deal with because it feels like you're leaving something of yours behind. but you gotta do what you gotta do. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video with a friend. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.